Now we're going to be taking a look a little bit into the future, not the future today, but the future of you raising your own children. In what way did the food that you gave your children and insisted that they have change from the way you were brought up? Now, you had a very, very healthy childhood. What about your rearing of your family?
Well, I don't think we were able to sustain the healthiness and blend of food. My wife and I both work, and we would find ourselves getting home later in the evening and picking up food on the way from fast food. And when I cook, I tried to have a blend of food, but often just none of it would be eaten, or just some of it would be eaten, and it would be so late in the evening that there wouldn't be many arguments. So it was a little different.
Right. And talking about different, we know that you were born in Austria and you brought your cuisine over to the United States. How did it change? Or did it remain the same?
Well, in some way it remained the same. We still had a lot of vegetables because I had my own vegetable garden. And I used to can all my vegetables. I had a huge garden, so I had enough from harvest to harvest to all kinds of vegetables. And the only way it changed is I added a lot of meat to the vegetables, where before we mainly ate vegetables, no meat.
And where did you get your meat from?
I used to go to the butchers up in Wisconsin, where the meat packing houses, and buy half a cow or half a pig, and then have it up. They pack it and bring it home and put it in the freezer. And then in wintertime, we had it. And I used to go to Maxwell Street and buy potatoes, 100-pound bag, and onions and all this stuff. And,
how many were in your family, Marie?
Well, I had 4 children, so there was the 6 of us, and I had to save money.
Yes.
So that's the way we went, and we had good food.
Right.
Maria mentioned freezing, frozen things, freezing her meats. When I was young, of course, a big change from then to when I'm raising my family is frozen foods. When I was young, we had the ice box, no refrigerator, and so we didn't have frozen foods. They weren't invented. As my children were being born, we had frozen pizza and a lot of frozen vegetables. So you could really improve your nutrition by going to frozen vegetables and things like that. Things became much more convenient as a result of that. In addition, from the time I was young, I had primarily Scandinavian cuisine. As my wife came on board, she brought in things like tamales, tortillas, all kinds of Spanish foods, in addition to Polish foods. So we had interesting blend of cuisine there.
Probably some innovative ideas also. Well, you talked about freezing, and I remember when the freezers first came in, my mother was very skeptical of, oh no, she would not buy frozen food. I mean, it's not fresh. She'd have canned food, but frozen food, it was, big word, poison.
Yeah.
Well, how about you, Doris?
I followed pretty much the pattern of my mother's cooking. We did the liver also, and the kids liked and enjoyed it. They still do today. They love to go and have liver. We did the vegetables, all of that. And there were certain nights that the kids could select. We had 4 children, and certain nights they could select the menu that they would like, and everybody enjoyed it. It was not just for that one person and everybody chose something different. We were not running a restaurant, so it was important that you be home on time, enjoy. If not, someone else was going to get it.
Yes. I might note one change in the cooking of liver in my house. When I was young, of course, you threw a piece of liver up in the pan and fried it. Now, when my wife came on, she would not get within closer than about 3 feet. So she used to use my barbecue fork to hold the liver like that as she was marinating it in milk, and then she would cook it in the pan with this long fork. She would eat it, and she liked it, and she made wonderful liver. But it was really funny to see.
All I can think of is with that long fork is feeding my son's iguana with a long fork. I wouldn't get anywhere near it, but we didn't eat the iguana.
It was sometimes difficult to even wash it because it would slip through your fingers.
Yeah.
What? Liver.
Oh, liver.
When you were
She hated that
washing
feel, yeah.
and kept it in the strainer.
We used to have kidney stew also, and I tried making it, but it was, I don't
Not
know,
the
my mother
same.
made it well, but myself, no way. How about your grandchildren? Have their tastes changed in any way?
They're more into fast foods today than ever before. But there are some very good fast food places out there. You have your frozen steakhouses, which I won't mention, but they do serve up-to-date, pretty well fresh food with less preservatives. And those are the places to look for, really.
Right. How about you, Mr. Levin?
Well, my grandchildren are pretty young, so they, you just sit at the table and hope they'll eat something. And you'd carve out a little bit of hamburger or hot dog or whatever they'll eat. That when we're
seems to be
around.
a favorite, a hot dog.
Yes.
My daughter grew up to be a biologist, okay? And she is a rigorous biologist and does things by the nutritional book. Her kids never had any grains except whole grains, never white bread, always rye bread or, wheat bread. Good bread. Now, I love all of that. But her kids never really had any. They wouldn't even think of eating white bread. They didn't know what it was.
And do you suppose they're going to follow through on that, or do you suppose when they go out they deviate?
Well, actually, they actually like that. And instead of candy for snacks, of course, there was nuts, there was celery, there was cheese, wholesome foods like that instead of candy.
Well, what happens when they come to Grandma and Grandpa's house?
We work
changes a
hard
little
to
bit.
corrupt them.
It does change a little bit,
Yes.
doesn't it?
The cookies come out and
if
the
Mama
candy
says
comes
no,
out.
go to Grandma. She usually says
Privileges.
yes.
I drink a lot of diet pop, and of course they drink water, okay? And so I've added sweetened pop in, and they've started drinking that.
Well,
okay?
it seems to be that the children are teaching the grandparents.
Oh, that's for sure.
Well, it usually happens, they say, well, in teaching, they always used to say that the pendulum swings back and forth. And I think this is, we seem to be going back to your childhood now because we have the food pyramid, we have all these nutritious meals coming forth, and I guess you're in your glory. And in our next segment, I know you're going to tell us how the position that you hold is helping us to maintain a nutritious life. And thank you again. We'll be back in just a moment.